This is Millennium Tower, the skyscraper that wouldn't stop sinking. A 645-foot luxury tower in the heart of downtown, built in the boom years, marketed to the rich, the famous, and the "I made it" tech crowd. It has a private wine cellar, a club lounge, a concierge, and for years, a hidden flaw. The ground under it was giving way faster than anyone expected. By the time the public found out, the tower had already sunk by about 16 to 18 inches and tilted by roughly 6 inches at the top. Engineers were called, lawsuits exploded, and then came the crazy plan for how to save the tower. The fix, they said, would cost around $100 million. But can it really stop the tower from sinking? Let's go back to the beginning. Mid-2000s San Francisco. Before the word unicorn meant billion-dollar startups. Before remote work hollowed out downtown. In the middle of this new look-at-me skyline, a project appears at 301 Mission Street, Millennium Tower. Sales started around 2007. The economy's wobbling, but rich people are still rich. Within the first weeks, Millennium clocks around $100 million in condo sales. Some units go north of $1,500 per square foot. Serious money, even for San Francisco. Former 49ers quarterback Joe Montana bought here. Venture capitalist Tom Perkins built out a penthouse. 419 condos, from normal rich one-bedrooms to a penthouse. By 2013, the building was sold out. Total reported sellout, roughly $750 million. Construction cost, around $600 million. It looks like a fantasy brochure for rich city life. Main tower, 58 stories, 645 feet tall. A smaller 12-story tower next to it. For a while, it's marketed as one of the tallest residential buildings on the West Coast. You're not just buying an apartment, you're buying status, a skyline, a lifestyle. And under all of that is mud. So let's check under the sidewalk. Millennium Tower sits in San Francisco's South of Market District, not far from the bay. Under the asphalt and the utilities and the BART tunnels, the ground is a layer cake. Feel near the surface. Soft, young bay mud below that. Then an old, dense sand layer. And much deeper, roughly 200 feet down, is actual bedrock. If you're building a 645-foot tower on this, you have two big options. One, you drive your piles all the way down through the soft stuff to bedrock about 200 feet down. That's time-consuming, expensive, but very safe. Two, you stop higher up, in dense sand above the bedrock, and let friction hold your building up. You kind of grab the soil instead of standing on the rock. Done right, this can work. Other buildings nearby use similar systems. Guess which option the Millennium Tower chose? Yep, option 2. The problem is that Millennium Tower is heavy, very heavy. With its concrete structure, it exerts about 11,000 pounds per square foot on its foundation, roughly 100 times the pressure of a typical one-story house. The geotechnical engineers predicted the tower might settle about 4 to 6 inches over its life. That's normal. Buildings sink a bit. But Millennium Tower didn't wait politely for over its life. It started sinking fast. By the time the building was complete in August 2009, it had already sunk more than expected. Settlement by itself is automatically catastrophic. A building can sink evenly and still be fine. The real danger is differential settlement, when one side sinks more than the other. And Millennium Tower wasn't just sinking, it was beginning to lean. If you were living there back then, you wouldn't have seen anything obvious. No giant cracks in your walls, no door frames ripping apart. For a while, this is mostly an internal problem. Engineers watch, lawyers draft letters, documents move between the developer, the homeowners association, and city officials. The public doesn't really know. Then, in 2015, the developer disclosed to the city that the building was sinking and leaning. A year later, in 2016, the story exploded into the news.
Cruz, the Millennium Tower is leaning and has sunk 16 inches over the last 8 years.
The Millennium Tower is sinking, the city is suing, and now you might be paying to fix the problem.
The Leaning Tower of San Francisco is born. Once the story is public, the blame game starts almost immediately. The developer, Millennium Partners, points at the public agency building the Trans-Bay Transit Center next door. Their argument? When the Trans-Bay Joint Powers Authority excavated and pumped groundwater out for the new transit hub, it changed the soil conditions and triggered extra settlement at Millennium Tower. The Transit Authority fires back. They dig up the monitoring records and say, "Hold on, the tower had already sunk around 10 inches before we ever started major construction next door, way more than the predicted 5.5 inches in 20 years." Meanwhile, geotechnical experts look at the whole picture and say something more nuanced and more uncomfortable. This was a bad combination. A very heavy concrete tower on a foundation system that stopped in dense sand, not bedrock, built in a place where the deep clay layer was always going to squish more than people hoped. And the homeowners are the ones stuck in the middle. Years later, in 2020, they reached what's called a global settlement. The different parties agree, without admitting fault, to fund a major engineering fix for the tower. A roughly $100 million foundation upgrade. On top of that, there's confidential compensation to condo owners for their lost value. This is where the story turns into engineering sci-fi. The basic idea was simple. If the original friction piles embedded in sand were allowing the tower to sink and lean, you'd give the building new feet, real feet, on rock. Picture the tower's existing foundation, that 10-foot thick concrete mat on hundreds of friction piles. The new idea was to build a collar around two sides of the mat, along Mission and Fremont streets, and install new piles down to actual bedrock, more than 220 feet below street level. Simple, right? Now add the constraints. You can't just dig out under the tower. You have to work from the sidewalk within a few feet of the existing basement wall, surrounded by busy streets, nearby buildings, and underground transit lines. You can't shake the structure too much, you can't block the Muni tracks forever, and the whole time people above you are making coffee, walking their dogs, and streaming Netflix. Would you sleep well knowing someone is drilling 250-foot holes into rock 4 feet from your bedroom wall? Leading this effort is structural engineer Ronald O. Hamburger and his team at Simpson, Guppertz, and Heger. Not exactly amateurs. With a $100 million budget, the estimated timeline stretched over several years. The promise was clear: stop the settlement, gradually reduce the tilt, and restore confidence in Millennium Tower. Along two sides of the building, the north and west where the lean is worst, they will install new steel and concrete piles, each about 24 inches in diameter, extending roughly 250 feet down to bedrock. Then they'll connect those piles to the existing 10-foot thick foundation mat and literally jack part of the building's weight onto them. Engineers estimate that by unloading the squished side and letting the opposite side continue to settle slightly, they can eventually recover about half the tilt. Not overnight, but over years. Construction started in May 2021. At first, it looked like the plan might work. Then new survey data came in. Instead of slowing down, the tower's settlement actually sped up. Adding more load on one side and soil behavior issues from drilling and jacking appeared to be causing the clay layers to compress faster. The tilt increased by several inches in a matter of months. By mid-2021, the lean at the roof was reported to be roughly 1.8 feet and still growing. In late August 2021, city officials ordered work to be paused. Just weeks earlier, in June 21, a condo building in Surfside, Florida suddenly collapsed, killing nearly 100 people, and placing the Millennium Tower project under even harsher public and regulatory scrutiny. The revised design approved in 2022 scaled things back. Instead of 52 piles, they relied on just 18 already installed, 12 along Fremont Street and 6 along Mission. Fewer piles, less load shifted, and a smaller new collar around the existing mat. By June 2023, the engineering team reported that those 18 piles had been fully connected and jacked into the old foundation. Monitoring data showed the big headline result: the excessive sinking and tilting had effectively stopped. The building even recovered 3/4 of an inch of lean, then roughly a full inch later that year. From a pure engineering standpoint, it's a win. They stopped the tilt. Now, someone had to pay for the miracle. Remember that $100 million fix? With delays, complications, and overruns, the cost goes up by roughly another $20 million. In 2023, residents got a surprise bill. They're on the hook for about $6.8 million of that overrun, spread across the building's owners. This is definitely not what they expected. At the same time, the tower's brand, its reputation, has taken a beating. In 2025, a 60th floor penthouse that once asked $14 million finally sells for $9 million, a $5 million haircut. Other units have done even worse, selling at 20 to 50% losses compared to their original prices. Now it's 2026, the fix is done. On paper, the building is safer than before. It's anchored to bedrock. Not many residential towers in that part of the city can say the same. The overall lean at the top is still on the order of 2 feet plus. Different sources put the prefix tilt at about 29 inches. Reversing an inch or two of that doesn't suddenly make the building straight. So yes, today Millennium Tower is, by engineering standards, a stabilized structure with a fancy new foundation tied into bedrock. It's also a 645-foot monument to sunk costs, literally and financially. If there's a lesson in Millennium Tower, it's not just don't build tall on soft ground. Humans have been doing that forever. Pizza, anyone? It's more about how modern life depends on things we never see. Foundation piles, contracts in back rooms, and assumptions buried in engineering models. If you like digging into stories where big money, big egos, and big engineering all collide with reality, this is just one chapter. Hit subscribe, drop a comment with what you would do if your dream condo started leaning, and then queue up the next episode.